Welcome to the Biometric Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Security standards and procedures provide the fine-grained structure needed to turn broad policies into practical actions. If policies define what must be done, then standards describe how to do it consistently, and procedures explain how to follow those standards step by step. In this episode, we will examine several critical types of security standards that support strong cybersecurity operations. These include password standards, access control standards, physical security standards, and encryption standards. Each of these areas plays a vital role in reducing risk and supporting compliance with organizational requirements. Let's begin with password standards. These standards are among the most well-known, but often misunderstood or poorly implemented. Password standards define the specific requirements for creating and maintaining passwords across the organization. This includes rules for complexity, such as requiring a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. It also includes length requirements, usually setting a minimum of 8 to 12 characters, though many organizations now recommend or require passphrases that are even longer and easier to remember. Beyond complexity and length, password standards also address rotation policies. These rules determine how often users must change their passwords and under what conditions. While earlier guidance emphasized frequent password changes, modern standards now focus more on password strength and monitoring rather than regular expiration. The goal is to reduce the use of weak or reused passwords while also preventing user frustration and unsafe workarounds like writing down complex strings. Storage is another key part of password standards. Organizations must ensure that passwords are not stored in plain text. Instead, passwords should be hashed using secure hashing algorithms, ideally with salting to prevent rainbow table attacks. Passwords should never be emailed or shared over unsecured channels, and administrative accounts should have additional layers of protection, such as multi-factor authentication. Consider a company that implemented a new password standard requiring 15-character passphrases along with two-factor authentication for all administrative users. Prior to this change, the organization had experienced several brute force login attempts, including one successful attack on a development system with weak credentials. After adopting the new standard, which included automated password audits and user training, the number of failed login attempts dropped significantly. More importantly, no additional unauthorized access incidents were reported. This improvement in account security directly resulted from better standards and the procedures that supported them. Now let's turn to access control standards. These standards define how access is granted, managed, and revoked within an organization. Access control standards are often built around principles like least privilege and role-based access control. The goal is to ensure that users have the access they need to do their jobs. Nothing more and nothing less. Access control standards outline how access levels are defined for different roles. For example, human resources staff might need access to personnel records, but they should not be able to view system configuration settings. A developer might need access to a test server, but not to production data. These distinctions are vital for maintaining security boundaries and limiting the potential damage of insider threats or compromised accounts. Enforcement is another critical aspect of access control standards. Organizations must regularly review access permissions and ensure they are still appropriate. This includes removing access for users who change roles, leave the organization, or no longer require certain permissions. Access control standards also typically require logging and monitoring of access activity to detect unauthorized behavior or policy violations. A practical example can be found in a university setting where role-based access control was implemented across student, faculty, and administrative systems. Each role had its own set of access permissions, and periodic audits were conducted to verify that users still needed those rights. When a faculty member transitioned into a non-teaching role, their access to student-grade records was automatically revoked, preventing potential privacy issues. This process was guided by clear, enforceable access control standards that ensured security while minimizing disruption. Next, we will discuss physical security standards. These standards are designed to protect buildings, equipment, and other physical assets from unauthorized access, theft, and tampering. While cybersecurity often focuses on digital threats, physical security is equally important, especially for facilities that host sensitive systems or data centers. Physical security standards may include requirements for badge access systems, locked server rooms, visitor check-in procedures, and surveillance cameras. They may also address emergency response plans, fire suppression systems, and physical separation of critical infrastructure. In many cases, physical access is restricted to only those individuals who have a legitimate business need, and all access is logged for auditing purposes. An example of strong physical security standards comes from a healthcare provider that operates multiple clinics and data centers. The organization implemented a policy requiring all facilities to use two-factor physical access controls, such as key cards combined with biometric verification. They also installed surveillance cameras and mandated security guard presence during off-menu hours. When a suspicious individual attempted to gain access to a restricted server room using a lost key card, the secondary biometric system prevented entry. The cameras recorded the incident, and the guard on duty was alerted. This incident demonstrated the power of well-designed physical security standards working as intended. Now let's move on to encryption standards. These standards define how and when data should be encrypted to ensure its confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity. Encryption standards cover both data at rest and data in transit, and they are critical for protecting sensitive information from interception or unauthorized access. Encryption standards typically specify approved encryption algorithms, key lengths, and key management practices. For example, an organization might require all sensitive data to be encrypted using advanced encryption standard with at least 256 bits of key length. Standards may also define how encryption keys are generated, stored, and rotated. These details are important because even strong encryption can be compromised if key management is weak or inconsistent. In one real-world case, a legal firm that routinely handled confidential corporate data adopted a new encryption standard that required all file storage to be encrypted using volume-level encryption. The standard also mandated the use of a secure key management system with audit logging. During a later security audit, the organization was able to demonstrate that all client files were encrypted, access was controlled, and no sensitive data had been exposed, even when a laptop was lost. The auditor praised the firm's adherence to its encryption standards, and the client retained full trust in the firm's ability to safeguard information. Encryption standards are also essential for compliance with data protection laws and industry regulations. Many frameworks, such as the General Data Protection Regulation or the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, require the use of specific encryption practices. Organizations that fail to meet these standards can face penalties, fines, and reputational damage. As you prepare for the Security Plus exam, be sure to understand the role of standards in implementing and supporting policy. Remember that standards are detailed, actionable rules that help turn broad policies into specific, repeatable behaviors. You may encounter questions that ask you to distinguish between a policy and a standard, or to identify which standard would apply in a particular scenario. Pay close attention to context, whether the question refers to user behavior, system design, or data protection. Here is a tip for this domain of the exam. Be especially familiar with the technical aspects of encryption standards. You might be asked about key lengths, storage practices, or transport encryption requirements. Also, practice identifying real-world scenarios where password, access control, or physical security standards would be most relevant. Knowing the intent behind each type of standard will help you eliminate incorrect options and choose the best answer confidently. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, Make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.